Good evening. We're here with night 2 of Intercity action as the Normal Community Ironmen face the Bloomington Raiders. Coming into this matchup, this is from Denny Bridges Court, a new place for the Ironmen this year, as the Intercity layout has changed from a rotating court to now everyone at Shirk. It's
I think the Shirk Center new venue, I really love that Intercity is taking place here. You know, the boys play here. It just makes such a better atmosphere for basketball, since this is a college stadium. Really adds some flavor for the start of the season.
I mean, we've already seen some things. The cheerleaders are over there as well. We'll see them maybe during some timeouts, but that's also new for the team this year. So we've got a lot of support coming for tonight's game.
You know, and I think that's great because the sport of women's basketball has really taken off. And, you know, everybody talks about, like, Caitlin Clark, how she's really expanded the game. But I think it's just all of the hard work that's been put in by all coaches and college basketball, WNBA, and it's just great to see the sport really expand. Now we have the cheerleaders cheering for the girls team as well. And you really can't ask for anything more. It's just a really inspiring thing.
Yeah, it's great to see the advancements. But last year, we're going to talk about what the Ironmen did. Last year, generational talent went to the sectional finals, lost to Alton, who went on to lose in the super sectional. The Ironmen ended up 31-4 on the campaign, having a record-breaking season, winning season twice in a row. But now all of those seniors, Olivia Corson, Allie Rustemeyer, Gianna Rawlings, Allie Ince, those people are gone now. And so we're seeing a new roster take the court tonight. We're seeing faces like Raina Powers, Marco Reynolds, Amia Lester, Camry Fisher, Kenna Malinowski. Even some juniors like Haley Michaels are coming to the team this year. So we're seeing new faces, new leaders to the Ironmen as they adapt a new play style that's more inside out, as we see Marco Reynolds, a 6'1" post in the center. Last year averaged 2.9 points per game, 2.9 rebounds, and limited action. I only expect those numbers to increase this season as they go to Marco inside the paint and try to utilize that gravity that she can hold this year to pass to shooters who we've seen. Camry Fisher exploded last game against Normal West, posting 14 points in her first varsity start of her career. So we're seeing faces emerge. We're seeing new leaders kind of come and take over this community team.
Yeah, and like you say, it's a new team to the public, but to this Normal community squad, this is a new old team, right? It's a lot of players that you've seen throughout the organization, whether it's JV or varsity last season. Like you said, there are 8 returning seniors, all of which who played varsity last year, and some people saw some significant minutes, like Raina Powers. She played 19 minutes a game. Amia had 14 minutes a game, and they had a lot of starts last season. And then you look at, there's 10 juniors now on the roster. So this is a really old team. You know, when we look back at yesterday for the boys, we saw lots of freshmen, lots of sophomores playing, which is something that's pretty unusual. But for this Normal community squad, 8 seniors, 10 juniors, all players that were in the organization last year, and I think that's something that builds a lot of success in a team.
Yeah, that's something Feeney's actually talked about. He takes pride in the fact that all of his players on his team have played freshman basketball, have played JV. So it's not just going straight to varsity. He wants these players to be in the program, moving up, and really getting used to it before they start seeing real varsity minutes.
Right, and then you're really bought in as a player. You're really bought in when you've been through this organization at least 2 years, 2 to 3 years for both of them. And, you know, this year we talked about their new mantra, fear is a liar. Like, don't come into this game with any fear. Just go and kick some butt. And that's what they did the first game of the season. You want to talk a little bit about their victory against West?
Yeah. Of course, last year the Ironmen had a monster Intercity run, going 4-0, average margin of victory of 30 points. Last year, their victory against West was 42 points. This year, it was just 7. So you saw, so one thing Feeney said coming into the season, the gap is definitely narrowed. So we saw that in action against West. So we've seen new play styles. We've seen the way that inside-out play is going on with Marco in the middle. One thing I liked was Haley Michaels, a junior, scored 8 points off the bench. So we're seeing a lot of glimpses of what Community could be from that, but also, you know, that gap, that narrow competitive part that Bloomington could also bring.
Right, and in a narrow game where Community wins by 7, right, against West, crosstown rival obviously, but you talked last year, they beat West 79-35 in Intercity, and then this year it completely changed, 52-45, and this West team was a younger team. Feeney said it was a young team with a really good sophomore class, which is also really similar to the boys team, as they have 10 sophomores as well. So I think definitely the experience there aided Community in being able to take that victory against a young team, because when you're a young team, you got nothing to lose, and you're just going for it every game, giving it your all. And that kind of brings me to Bloomington this season. So Bloomington is now a little bit older, but they're still relatively young, as they have countless juniors. They actually, over half of their roster is juniors. They have a couple sophomores, and then only 3 seniors. But one thing that's really important for them is 8 of their 11 players on the roster are returners from last season, with 6 of the 7 playing the top 7 minutes per game, which I found really interesting, that this team is still really young, but almost all returners, and they bring 4 of their 5 starters back from last season.
Yeah, and when we talk about some of the players like Christina Leonard, players that were just sophomores that are coming back, already contributing like 27 minutes a game, and 9 points per game. Like, seeing those players come back, you have to like know that these players are going to get better, and that Bloomington is going to bring more tonight.
Right, you talk about Christina Leonard. She was one of the leaders last season, if not maybe second in command last season, just as a sophomore. She was actually first in minutes per game with 27 per contest, 9 points a game, which was second on the team. She got 4 boards, and the stat that really stood out to me, 4 steals a game on a team that loved to steal the ball. Bloomington averaged 14 steals per game last season, a very high margin, and Christina was a big reason for that. Some other names that you should keep your eye on tonight: number 3, Lauren Shuey. Last season she put up 7 points, 4 boards with 3 steals a game just as a sophomore. One thing that she does do is turn the ball over quite a bit. She averaged 5 turnovers a game, which led the team last season, and obviously she's a sophomore, so hopefully those things have kind of worked itself out. Another player is Dadakian. Dadakian put up 7 and 3 with 2.5 steals a game, and something that we see with a lot of these players is turnovers. So what do you think about the steal to turnover ratio? Obviously 14 steals per game is great, but last season they had 24 turnovers a game. How do you think Normal Community is going to try to push the tempo maybe and get some steals? What do you think they're looking for tonight?
Yeah, I think a lot of the turnovers could have been from youth from Bloomington last year. Also, I believe they had a first-year coach last year, so they're kind of getting into that system. I expect to see maybe more organization, but you know the Ironmen are not ever going to let up. They are going to attack every single time, especially on the defensive end. You have Amia Lester, who is a swarming small guard. Raina Powers, who led the team in steals, or was second in steals last year. Marco Reynolds holding down the paint, had 4 blocks the other day. So we're going to see a lot of defensive pressure from the Ironmen. Maybe not the same length that we had last year, but definitely hustle and energy.
Yeah, you talk about Marco's monster defensive game. She had 4 blocks just going through some of the big games from the West Community matchup. Marco ended the game with 9 points, 7 rebounds, 4 blocks, just sheer dominance from the 6'1 center. Camry Fisher was the one that was really lighting it up. She had 14 points, 2 rebounds, and was perfect from the charity stripe, 5 for 5. And then Raina Powers is another player that had a very even game with 7 points, 7 rebounds, 2 assists, and 5 steals, as we know she loves to steal the ball. One thing she will need to work on is field goal percentage. It was just 22% that game.
Yeah, we've seen a really well-balanced offense from Community. It's not just one player, but still, Camry Fisher, to see her going from limited minutes, only playing like half the games last season, to becoming like the player that they go to, the player that brings the ball up the court, the player that's going to go in there to get the layup, the player that's going to get the free throws at all of the end of the game. To see that leadership from a player that, you know, we maybe didn't expect exactly from the beginning of the season, make that impact is very huge.
Yeah, it really is. Well, Bella, we are just about a minute and a half until game time, so I want to hear some keys for Community tonight and some keys for Bloomington to be able to stay in this ball game.
Yeah, Feeney's one word for Bloomington was physical. They have big, strong guards, so they're going to put pressure on Community. Community, one thing that we haven't done is shoot the ball as much, but when you have that pressure, you want to be able to use that inside out. Like, Marco has been getting swarmed on defense the last few days. So I want to see Marco, like, really get the ball out, to see people on the outside moving around to get into position to score, because there are players that can shoot. So I want to see less hesitation in that and able to capitalize on those scoring opportunities. Yeah, Bloomington, to stop that, I don't know. They're just going to have to keep the iron physical, get Marco in the paint. They need to do basically what they were doing to Kobe last night.
Yeah.
Just getting on him and stopping him from moving.
Yeah, and I think you described it perfectly. Just as West stopped Kobe last night, not stopped him, but held him to, 12, 14 points, which is something against a smaller team you expect Kobe to drop 20. So I think that's exactly what Bloomington needs to go to tonight, and really just try to get some steals, as they are a team that does take the ball away time and time again, but they also need to be able to use their sides. They have 2 6-footers. Community only has 1 6-footer in Marco Reynolds. So I think if they just size up against Marco Reynolds, I think they'll be all right. And that's going to be a key for Bloomington. For Normal Community, I love what you said. Confidence. Confidence. Just go at the basket. Attack, attack, attack. And I think everything will turn out perfectly for the Ironmen if they just follow that. It's the second game of the season. There's still a lot of nerves and a lot of things that needs to be changed, and confidence kind of comes with that.
And we'll take it over to the PA announcer.
Coaches, fans, and today's officials by cheering for them in an encouraging and positive manner. We are all here to cheer for our teams, not against anyone else. Thank you for your cooperation and good luck to both teams. At this time, we ask that you please stand, remove your caps, face the flag as we play the national anthem. the starting lineup for the Ironmen from Normal Community. At 1 forward, 5'8" senior number 23, Raina Howard. At the other forward, 5'10" senior number 5, Kenna Malinowski. At the post position, 6'1", senior number 4, Marco Reynolds. At 1 guard, 5'6", senior number 1, Amia Lester. And at the other guard, 5'8", senior number 15, Camry Fisher. The Ironmen are coached by Dave Feeney and assisted by Darylyn Dunn, Michael Mace, and Megan Williams. Now let's meet the starters for the Raiders from Bloomington High School. At 1 forward, 5'7", senior number 5, Sosi Dadikian. At the other forward, 5'7", junior number 2, Christina Leonard. At the post position, 6' junior number 44, Madison Embry. At 1 guard, 5'6", junior number 3, Lauren Shuey. And at the other guard, 5'6", senior number 4, Emily May. The Purple Raiders are coached by Michael Donnelly and assisted by Lamaril Tyra, Kamaria Gant, Olivia Falls, and Athena Crittendor. Officials for tonight's contest, John Mackinson and Tim Brock.
Yeah, we see Bloomington's starting lineup: Christina Leonard, Lauren Shuey, Emily May, Sosi Dadakian, and Madison Embry at the 5.
Yeah, when we look at that starting lineup, 4 of the 5 are returners from last year, 3 juniors, 2 seniors, so a pretty diverse starting lineup. And we saw the starting lineup from Community as well: Powers, Malinowski, Lester, and Fisher all at guards, and then Marco Reynolds at center. And here is the tip-off from Shirk Court. And here we go. The Ironmen have gotten the tip-off, and Amia has the ball. Amia kicks it out to Powers. Powers got it open Fisher. Fisher from 3, right off the back iron. Bloomington has received it. That is Emily May on the rebound. Bloomington's going the other way. Fast pace from Bloomington here. And the Raiders are going to pull up. That one is also off the back iron. This is a really fast start to the game, Bella.
Yeah, we're going to see, Kenna Malinowski's going to shoot it. Doesn't make it. But we're taking quick shots. 2 threes have been fired off by Community so far.
Yeah, and I like that Community is playing with a lot of confidence, which is what we talked about earlier. Taking those shots, I mean, you miss all the shots you don't take, and Community's taking them. We know they'll fall at some point.
See the big taking on Marco on the outside.
Yeah, and she shot one early there, which is really important. That'll be a foul there on Amia Lester. And I think it is interesting that Madison Embry took that 3-point, it might have been a deep 2 earlier in the game, showing that she can shoot, and that's in her bag. Last year, she averaged 4 points, 6 rebounds in 19 minutes a game. And now here's the first free throw from Lauren Shuey. That one's going to go right off the iron. It is still 0-0 a minute into the game. Here comes the second one, and we talked with Mr. Swanson, a rule change. Every single time, whether it's a shooting foul or not, you will get 2 free throws in high school basketball. The second free throw is up, and that one is good as Lauren Shuey makes the first basket of the game for Bloomington. It is 1-0, and Amia goes right down the lane. That one's just off the back iron. Very aggressive start from the Ironmen, though. Now Bloomington's got it back in the hands of Lauren Shuey. Lauren Shuey's going to hand that one off to Sosi Dadakian. Dadakian gives that back to the big that again is past the 3-point line, something that I think we'll see a lot of, Bella.
Trying to stretch out Marco. I mean, I think it's really important that Marco stays down there as the only forward on the team. we need that height down low.
Right, there are 4 guards on the court for Community, and there really isn't a backup center for the Ironmen. So Marco's going to be playing a lot of minutes this season and really used a lot. And there's the layup from Bloomington, no good, but an offensive board. And I think she stepped out of bounds there. That's going to be Community ball. Great effort there from Shuey.
Yeah, you see that physicality going straight in for that offensive rebound.
Right, and Feeney talked about how Bloomington is very aggressive and they have big, aggressive guards, and we've seen that today. Camry Fisher thought about the three. She's going to give that one off to Marco. That's going to be a turnover, and there we go. We're seeing the defense. Shuey with the steal. She had 3 steals a game last season. I'm sure she'll continue that success on the defensive end. Shuey's got the ball. She gives it off to Dedekian. Dedekian has a corner. She's going to dump that off to Reyna. There's Reyna's first steal of the game, and she's off to the races. Here's the layup. That one's right off the backboard, but she gets the ball right back. I think the Ironmen might reset here. Here's a 3-ball from Malinowski. That one goes down for the Ironmen.
Malinowski's second 3 of the season. We're going to see a lot more of those.
Yep, and in the first game, she was 1 for 8, had some struggles coming off of a swim season, obviously, only a week of practice. She's 1 for 2 from 3 here today, and that's going to be a foul on Marco Reynolds. One thing I do want to point out is Dedekian seems to be getting by and into the lane pretty easily. Once they work on some of those turnover problems, I think that could be a problem for Community. They're going to have to close that gap without fouling too much. Now we see the 3rd and 4th free throw of the game for the Raiders. What do you think the Ironmen need to change to kind of, and that first free throw is up and it's good. What do you think the Ironmen are going to need to change to see more success without fouling?
I'm seeing, like, obviously, Bloomington is physical. I mean, they're going to make you hit them, kind of, going inside a lot. So something Community can't really match up right now is, like, just that physicality. Reyna Powers, I want to see Reyna Powers, Marco try to make a difference and maybe also get stuff out of their hands on the perimeter instead of letting them get down.
Yeah, that was a nice cut from Camry Fisher there, but the ball does get blocked as the Raiders are all over the Ironmen defensively once they get in the paint. I think one thing the Ironmen will need to stick with is 3-point shots. The perimeter defense lacks a little bit more for the Raiders. Now the ball's back to Dedekian. Dedekian's the leading scorer for Bloomington. She's got 2. There's another foul from the Ironmen, that one on Amia.
Yeah, just a little late to getting to that ball. I mean, Bloomington is just having it. Everyone's on the perimeter, like we said. Embry's on the perimeter. So everyone's passing it around on the outside. We need to be ready for that.
Yeah, that is a really good point. Oh, a near steal, as we did have a substitution for the Ironmen with 3 new players on the court. That shot is just a tad bit far, but Bloomington's got the offensive rebound. Now the ball's back at Dedekian. Do you want to talk about the new players that came in for the Ironmen after this layup? And that's good. That's 4 for Dedekian. How about you talk about the new Ironmen players on the court?
Haley Michaels just had the ball. Armani Connor comes in. Zoe Wilde, a junior down there, 5'3". Kenna Malinowski shoots, misses it.
Yeah, that one did not fall, but you see that Kenna has sheer confidence and is just going for every 3 that she has an opportunity at, and I love that confidence. Here is the shot. That one's right off the back iron for Embry. She continues to shoot from deep despite being 6 feet tall.
Yeah, but if we talk about physicality, Haley Michaels and Armani Connor are kind of the perfect people to come in. Both people who are very gritty.
Yeah, that was a 3-ball miss, but we got an offensive rebound, and that one just bounced around. No good for the Ironmen. It is a slow start here at the Shirk Center. 5-3 Bloomington. This isn't really what we saw with West, as that game was 54 to 47, 52 to 45. So a much more high-scoring game than the start of this one. It's 5-3. Bloomington just called a timeout. Why do you think Bloomington's calling a timeout here? You know, you're up, you're leading, you kind of had some momentum going. Why do you think the timeout was called by the Bloomington head coach?
I mean, I think we're seeing just not a lot of scoring here. As much as you're getting momentum, there's still obviously problems. Community's very animated. Coach Feeney's talking to his players. I think everyone kind of just needs kind of a moment to be like, let's figure out a way to score.
Right. I think this timeout is actually really beneficial to the Ironmen. Even though they're not the ones that called it, maybe slow down a little bit on offense. We talked about being aggressive, and they really have been aggressive.
They took that advice.
That's for sure. We have another substitution for the Ironmen. Number 24, Ashlyn Wellborn, is on the court. All right, action has started back up. Dedekian, the leading scorer for the Raiders, has the ball. He's going to kick that out to the perimeter, and lots of ball movement for the Raiders here. It's going around to nearly everybody. The three-point shot is up, and that one is good from Lauren Shuey. Lauren Shuey and Dedekian have all 8 of Bloomington's points, and there will be a foul committed on the play. That was a nice drive from Wellborn. I like the confidence.
From the junior, who played a few minutes the other game, too.
Yeah, and I think we will be seeing a lot of juniors maybe getting even bigger roles as the season progresses, and I think she's definitely one player to keep your eye on. The first free throw's up, and that one is good. Beautiful form there from Ashlyn. 8-4 is the score with 3:08 left in this first quarter, which seems to be picking up offensively now. All right, here comes the second free throw, and that second free throw is good. Wellborn knocks them both down, cutting the lead down to 3. Now we see a full court press from the Ironmen, and the Raiders are going to break through that, but the Ironmen will get right back into defensive position.
Interesting, before they were playing more of a zone, now they're going back to man.
Ashlyn Wellborn bit on that one, which left an open lane right off the back iron, and a tough physical
Wildy hit, but no foul.
There. And now the Ironmen are on the other way. Armani Connor seemed to get fouled there.
Yeah.
No call. Might have been ball. It's hard to see from up here. And Bloomington is going to take it the other way. Now, one thing we've seen is a lot of ball movement from Bloomington. I think that's something they're going to need to continue. Here's the 3 ball, and that one is going to be no good for the Raiders. Just a little short there from Emily May, the senior that was not on the team last year and is now starting. So I think they need probably some of that senior leadership that they saw last year.
Yeah, with only 3 seniors on the team, I mean, you kind of just need one of those voices to kind of just have that maturity.
Yeah, that's for sure. There are some swarming Raiders. Community seems unfazed, being able to hold on to the ball. And there's an open 3-point shot. It goes one more for the 3. It's up, and that one is no good from Zoe Wildy.
We're seeing some good shots from the Iron, just not making them.
Yeah, there is a lot of 3-pointers attempted, which I think is good because it's showing a lot of confidence from the Ironmen. And there we go, another bucket from Bloomington, getting to double digits. That was Ariana Buss, someone that played on the team last year, averaged 4 points and 3 rebounds. Another turnover from Community here. Bloomington has really had a nice start to the game.
Oh, Community is going to have a full roster come in to switch out for this group.
Yeah, and it's a roster that contains 4 seniors, so I think Community wants to see more of that senior presence. That shot would be no good from number 4, Emily May. And the Ironmen are going to take it the other way. And nice movement here into Armani. That one's up, no good, but I like the take going in to the big Armani Connor, someone that we haven't seen necessarily play center as much, but she's being put into that position this year. That'll be an interesting development. Turnover there from Bloomington. The Ironmen the other way. Wild up for the layup, and that one's good. All right, the Raiders are back on the other end, and that one is turned over. Great defense from Armani Connor, pressuring the Raiders. Armani Connor is going to go to the bench, and we have a whole new lineup for the Ironmen. We only have 4 on the court. Kenna Malinowski will be inbounding. Lost her in the sea of black and orange there. What do we think of the threads this year? I like the all-black jerseys.
Yeah, we've seen last year we were sponsored by Under Armour, but the jerseys did not come in yet. I'm kind of liking these jerseys. I think they're pretty nice.
They're very sleek. We have Marco Reynolds back in, attacking the basket, drawing the foul, number 44, Madison Embry. Marco does have a year on her, as Marco's a senior, Embry's a junior. She has a lot more experience, so I think that's definitely in Reynolds' advantage. A little fun fact about Reynolds, she's committed to Eastern Illinois for track and field. Reynolds is double teamed, and that's going to be a jump ball. The Raiders are doing exactly what we talked about.
Yeah.
Just swarming that ball, and Bloomington will get the first jump ball of the game, giving them the ball with 20 seconds left and a 3-point lead in this first quarter. And we see a different approach from the Raiders, all of them behind the line. Now we're going to see the inbound play. All right, the Raiders.
Oh, Malinowski putting pressure.
Oh, looks like the Raiders that almost got it stolen away from Malinowski, but that will be a foul on Kenna Malinowski. You know, that was a risky pass from the Raiders, and it seemed like they could have waited a couple more seconds before that. Keep an eye on number 11, Josie Skeet, as she is a sharp three-point shooting lefty. There's the shot up from Sosi Dedekian, and that one is no good. So, as we're nearing the end of the first quarter, can you kind of analyze what you've seen so far from both sides?
Yeah, I'm seeing Community very low scoring. We're not exactly, well, I mean, we have only seen one game so far this season. But still, we're not really used to seeing a low scoring Community team. I think it's just been a lot of rushing in the shots. There's been looks to get, but it's just maybe that's not the best look that you can get in the whole possession. So I'm looking for more patience on NCHS's side. But we're also seeing Bloomington, like we said, swarming Marco in the paint. We're seeing some press going on here as well, as the balls.
That one's going to be no good from the Ironmen. They did try to push the tempo there at the end of the first quarter. Didn't really end up getting the shot off, and that will be the end of the first quarter with Bloomington leading 11-7. Not exactly the score you would expect, not because necessarily Bloomington's winning, but because they've only combined for 18 points in this first quarter, a total that you would expect one team to have after a quarter.
Mm-hmm. I mean, low scoring. I think the West game, there was at least 15 points in the first quarter.
The Ironman boys had 16 yesterday in the first quarter, and then also same for the Ironman girls, right around that margin.
Yeah. So it's really low scoring. We're going to see them talking it over. I want to see, I know we said aggression, maybe more patience, not as much aggression, but still will to get the ball in the basket.
Yeah, and I want to see more from Marco Reynolds, not necessarily how she's playing, but I want to see more from her staying in the paint and her teammates finding her and being patient. Because here's the thing, every time it gets dumped down to Reynolds, Reynolds has everybody coming in on her, and she's getting double, triple teamed. In those moments, that's when you can kick it out and you can find an open opponent. And when that starts happening time and time again, we know this team can shoot. So when that keeps happening and they start knocking down the three ball, then you can't double team and triple team Marco anymore, leaving a one-on-one, and I like Reynolds' odds on a one-on-one against this Bloomington Raiders team.
Yeah, and we saw it a lot in the West game. Marco getting covered in the paint. She was actually maneuvering pretty well. I think it's more of a thing of those teammates getting in position to also score.
Yeah, we see a little bit shifted lineup for the Ironmen here, headlined by Kenna Malinowski, Camry Fisher, and Tatum Yoakley as the seniors in the lineup. Who are the juniors in the lineup, Bella?
Zoe Wilde and Ava Turner are taking the court, both 5'3" guards.
And there's the three from Malinowski. That one looked like it was nearly going to go in. That one's right off the back iron, but we're still seeing straight confidence from Malinowski. Now the other way, the Raiders take it, and what a layup there from Josie Skeet, being able to maneuver that one in underhand, and that was almost a carnival shot from Skeet. Stepped out of bounds there for the Ironmen. That was number 2 stepping out of bounds for the Iron. That's a play that you kind of You want to get that one back.
Yeah, Bloomington using their height advantage on there on the 5'3" Ava Turner. You're seeing the way Bloomington has length in this game.
Now, one thing I want to point out is the Ironmen have subbed in a lot of players so far today, despite losing. And that's actually something we didn't see that much of against West, as they only played 9 players. So a different approach from the Iron here. Seemed to not be panicking despite being down 6. And what a steal from Malinowski, just taking that from behind her head. And, you know, that happened to me one time when I was like 8 years old playing basketball. Put it up high because the coaches were always like, put it up high. But I had it up high for like 5 seconds and it just got snagged.
Oh, wow.
That was rough there. But that was a great play from Malinowski. The Ironmen are going to turn it right back over to the Raiders. And the Raiders are on the run. That one is good from Dedekian. Dedekian is up to 7 points on the contest. Now Raina Powers got the ball. She kicks it over to Michaels. Michaels with a nice pass fake. She's into the lane. She's going to kick it back out to Raina. Raina with the 3 ball. That's up. No good. Right off the front iron. And a nice rebound there from Madison Embry. Now with the ball, Josie Skeet. She is a lefty. And I saw a video of her having a nice lefty step back 3. So keep an eye on her. That was a nice pass into Dedekian. And that is Dedekian's bread and butter, as she has had 3 of those layups on the right side tonight, adding up to her 9 points on the contest.
Yeah, this might seem like it's coming out of left corner, but she kind of reminds me of Peoria Notre Dame's Emmy Wordle in the state championship last year. It was just a thing where they would get the ball up to her on the top, and she would just drive in and get that layup every single time. It was just so consistent and something that nobody could stop.
Right, and Dedekian, she really has this speed. She possesses this speed to be able to get around very easily. It seems like it's just one kind of swift movement, and she's got nothing but the lane and the hoop in front of her, being able to knock down these layups. I think this is where you need to put Marco Reynolds back in the game to get that presence in the paint.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to see 4 blocks the other night. We want to see those blocks. We want to see the paint getting defended. Because honestly, anything in Marco's vicinity was getting blocked the other night.
Yeah.
So defending the paint is something that's going to be really crucial right now.
That is very true. And we have seen Normal, Community, and Bloomington play many a time. And Community has really dominated as of late, as they have beat Bloomington every single game since the 2012-2013 season. That's more than 10 years ago. And to start this contest, Bloomington is really sending a message to the Iron that they're going to have to step it up.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Amia with the ball at point. Amia with a couple crossovers. That's going to be a foul on the Raiders. A little frustrated with that call. Lauren Shuey, I think that's a good call from the refs, getting a little touchy, being able to call that early before it gets out of hand. Oh, Mia back with the ball at point. We saw how shifty she was just a second ago, and she's going to pass that one off. Now it's going to the corner 3, Malinowski. Malinowski gives it off to Amia. Haley Michaels into Raina Powers. Powers back to Michaels. Seeing lots of ball movement from the Iron here. Now a little bit of a reset. Malinowski looks open from 3, and she's got the ball. That's up and good. Corner 3, Malinowski.
That was a beautiful possession. Just passing the ball, getting by the zone, getting that open shot.
One word really describes that perfectly. That one word is patience. Great patience from the Ironman there. Here's the 3 ball from Bloomington to respond. Right off the back iron. That was a hard fall from Bloomington. And we have a player down. Is that Shuey?
Number 3?
Yeah, number 3, Shuey, is grabbing her elbow. She's been a big defensive presence for the Raiders tonight. Also offensively, she's got 4 points, including a nice 3 ball earlier in the contest, hoping she's all right. You know, as we're waiting, we can go through some of the Ironmen's, how they did in the playoffs last year. The Ironmen had a very good season, as you said before. Shuey is up, and she's been in that elbow. She might get back in this game. But the Ironmen had a great season last year. Can you talk a little bit about how they performed in the playoffs under Feeney?
Yeah, in that first game of the playoffs, regional semifinals, they beat West, pretty lopsided. Pekin as well to win that regional championship. Then to go to the sectional semis against East Moline, another easy win for the Iron.
All
and then they
20-point
got,
wins.
yes, their most test against Alton, where they put up a really good effort to try to get that off of 3 consecutive sectional final appearances. They tried to get that one,
And Amia
but
knocks
were
down the
unacceptable.
3. Amia knocks down the 3 there from the pass from Raina Powers. That was great awareness from Powers there, missing the layup, getting the board, and kicking it back out. Powers on the steal and the fast break, and she makes sure that that layup will fall down. And all of a sudden, a 10-point deficit from the Ironmen has been shaved down to 2 with the possibility of 1 with Powers at the line, and that was in just a minute. The Ironmen are on top of things here.
Yeah, that's where I like to see Raina running in transition and getting up in those physical layups.
That free throw is no good. Great effort from Malinowski trying to get the board, but Embry takes that one down. She has had lots of boards here tonight. Great steal from Malinowski. That's her second of the game, and the Ironmen are back the other way. Amia's got the ball. There's an open Malinowski in the corner. That one's given to Raina, who goes up and under with a fantastic finish.
Acrobatic lay from Raina Powers.
Wow, that was something, wasn't it? It
Yeah.
seems like after the layup that was missed, the last 2 plays, we see a nice and 1 finish, and now we see yet another and 1 finish. This one, as you said, quite acrobatic. Now, Raina Powers does struggle a bit with free throws, but that one is up and good to give the Ironmen a lead. In just about a minute and a half, the Ironmen went from being down 10 to up by 1. Raina has a takeaway. She's on the ground, and the Ironmen end up getting the ball back.
Michaels with the ball.
Oh, she's getting swarmed defensively. No foul called on the Raiders. The Raiders are back the other way and fast break. Layups up. That's
That
gonna
will be a charge.
Um,
Amia Lester, the team's charging leader last year. We see that again.
Sets her feet, and you know, charging is one of the hardest things to do in basketball. Being able to set your feet and just let the body just come at you. It's a little scary, it's a little frightening, and Amia is definitely not the tallest individual on the court, and she's still able to do that. That is a big advantage for the Ironmen. The Ironmen have the ball with just their second lead of the game here. Malinowski's going to spot up from 3. That one's off the back iron. And we have a hustle board from the Ironmen. That's going to be a jump ball, which should go to Community, as the Raiders got the last one. Bloomington does get the possession on there with their second straight jump ball possession. Now that was great hustle there from Wilde, as she was able to get that rebound. Did end up being a jump ball, but she was again swarmed by 2 people. We are seeing that time and time again here from the Raiders.
Yeah. We're seeing, like, Zoe Wilde, small players are still having a lot of effort on Community's team. Still, with that swarming, they have that height advantage. They're getting Community to make these mistakes, and it's going in their favor right now.
Yes, it definitely is. You want to talk about some takeaways that you've seen as Community's taken this lead and what they need to do to continue the success?
Yeah, I mean, what I'm seeing is easy shots. When Community is at their best, they are getting good defense and making that into good offense. So what we've seen is multiple transition plays. We've seen players just getting up there into the basket and going up strong. I want to see more of that.
Yeah, I love the going up strong. We saw that from Raina Powers, who has just made back-to-back layups after dishing out an assist to Kenna Malinowski earlier. So it's been 3 straight offensive possessions that Raina Powers has either scored or assisted on. And she's also had 3 steals in the last 4 possessions by the Raiders. 2 or 3 steals. She has been all over this Raiders team. There's a deflection from
Knocks
Raina.
it back again. Raina Powers is just like, when I see her go up for the ball, it's like a wide receiver, just like getting in there.
Yeah, that's a really good description. She is all over it here today at the Shirk Center. Number 3 is back in for Bloomington, which is a big advantage, as she's a great 3-point shooter for them and has lots of hustle. What a find, but Kenna Malinowski is going to knock that one down. Amia's on the fast break, gives it off to Raina Powers. Raina Powers looks to Marco Reynolds. That's going to be a corner three from the center. No good there from Marco, just a tad bit short. The Raiders are taking it the other way. Shuey with the ball, finds an open corner three, but that one's going to be passed up as the Ironmen got in there. Now we have an open three from Bloomington right off the backboard. And the ball is going to be tossed around with possession going back to Bloomington. Last touch by Kenna Malinowski.
Substitution for Community.
We have a substitution for the Ironmen. Senior Armani Connor is coming in for Marco Reynolds.
Yeah, interesting to see that. But one thing Armani does is, Fanny said, play big. So even though she may not be the tallest player on the team, she's going to add that physicality.
Yes, she is. And there's another steal from Amia. Amia's taking it the other way. Very controlled. Gives it off to Wildy. Wildy going up and around. That ball gets knocked around all over the place. Armani Connor ends up on the ground causing a jump ball, and Community will obtain the jump ball there. Great hustle from Connor. All right, what do you want to see on this inbound play here, Bella?
Kenna Malinowski is inbounding the ball. I think we saw that a few times last year. But with Camry Fisher coming in the game, I think we could get, I think the ball is going to go towards her.
Yeah, Camry is a sharp shooter and knows how to get to the free throw line, but Amia was left open from the deep three, just off. What an offensive board from Armani Connor. Puts it up, no good, but love the offensive board and the hustle from the Ironmen. They've seemed to really lock in. Now back to the Raiders. We see a deep three ball. Wow, from the center, Madison Embry, who knocks that one through. We've seen her take a couple deep shots. That's the first one to go down. And we got another three from Malinowski, just off. Another offensive board from Connor. And that's going to be a jump ball. They're not calling many fouls here tonight.
Wow.
Which I think it's good to kind of let them play and just match the physicality on both sides of the ball. We got Shuey with the ball. We saw her go down earlier with what seemed to be an elbow injury, but she is back and looks just as good as ever. Raina Powers pressuring the ball, gets yet another steal. She's taking it the other way. And that one is going to be a turnover, just kind of getting the start of the season jitters out of the way. That ball just a little overthrown to Kenna Malinowski.
Yeah, and as the season progresses, we'll see the chemistry only get more, get better. But still right now, we're still seeing that second game of the season kind of vibe.
Yeah, and you see it all throughout Intercity. It's an amazing tournament, but you definitely see it from every single team. Some of the start of the season jitters. That's going to be no good, but incredible hustle from Bloomington to nearly get that ball back. That was Josie Skeet that tried to get that one back. She averaged 4 points a game with 2 steals last season and averaged 20 minutes a game. She's going to be playing a sixth woman play style this year.
Yeah, and one thing Feeney likes to say about Intercity is that it's kind of a practice. He says it's like each team is going to bring a certain test, and Bloomington has certainly brought a test.
Yes, they have, as Bloomington is up by 2 with 1:30. The score reading 20-18. Great find into Connor. That one is in and out. Great find from Raina Powers. And Connor, I love the confidence. She just needs to keep going at the rack, and it will fall through eventually.
Community going back to more of a zone.
There's a three. That's up and no good from the lefty, but Bloomington got it back.
Ooh, Powers is gonna.
Powers ran for it, and that will still remain Ironman basketball. We have yet another inbounds play. This time, Raina Powers is inbounding the basketball. And there was an open Camry Fisher, but Bloomington forces the turnover. It's one of their biggest strengths. On the other end, we have an and one from Lauren Shuey.
Shuey got injured before. No injury seen there.
Wow. What did you see on that play for Shuey to be able to stay physical and get that layup to go in?
Yeah, that's strength. I mean, not necessarily the tallest player on the court, but just going into Amia Lester's body and powering through.
Yeah, Shuey's just 5'6", so close to an average height, and she was able to really use her physicality there. Knocks down the free throw. Bloomington has a lead back. This is a game of streaks here. Bloomington up 23-18. A turnover there. Might be called a jump ball. They called a foul on Camry Fisher after the turnover occurred.
Wow, seen a lot of bodies on the floor in this game.
Yes, we have. And this has just been incredibly back and forth. Bloomington was up 17-7. Then the Ironmen went on an 11-0 run to go up 18-7. And Bloomington's responded with their own 6-0 run to take a 5-point lead with just under a minute left in the first half. Now here we go at the rack, no good from Dedekian, and Community on the other way. Malinowski's got it, she's gonna give it off to Powers. Powers finds Fisher, Fisher fakes the three, goes in for the floater. Looked like she might have got fouled there, no call on the play. And Bloomington is staying really physical. Community's just gonna have to keep working through that. Dedekian gives it off, the three-point shot is up and no good from Shuey. And once again, we see lots of hustle from number 11.
She almost
Josie
tried to save
Skeet
that.
Going for that. That is the second or third time she's leaped out of bounds to try to bring it back into play for the Raiders. We got Haley Michaels controlling the tempo for the Ironman offense here. She's going to kick it off to Reyna, far beyond the three-point line. Back to now around to Fisher. Powers is going to pick that one up, and that's going to be a foul on Bloomington. Bloomington's Emily May, the senior. One of the three seniors on this squad, a squad that is filled with many juniors, as they have 6 juniors on their roster. Now we see Reyna Powers at the free throw line. She has gone 1 of 3 on the night. That one is up and good, and actually, correction, now it is 2 of 3. She's only missed 1 free throw prior to that after her 2 and 1s. Now here comes the second free throw. The second free throw is up, and that is good. And the Ironmen cut it back to a possession. It's a 3-point ball game. Ref's whistle blows here as there was a substitution for Community. Wilde is back into the ball game. They want her scrappy defensive presence in these last 8 seconds to hopefully force a turnover. Now Bloomington is going to get past the half-court line. They're looking at the clock. That is a really early shot there.
Wow, nearly made
from
it.
the Raiders. Reyna with a quarterback throw.
That almost nearly
pretty
made it.
Close.
Seeing some Peyton Pritchard action here.
Oh, got to bring in the Celtics reference, didn't you, Bella? Had to bring it in.
Always got to bring it.
How many half-quarters does he have? He's got like a bunch. I think I've seen like 3 highlights of him just making half-quarters.
I think there's almost like 8 that I can remember.
8?
Yeah.
What?
In his whole career.
8 is insane. I didn't even make 8 in like practice ever.
But right now we see the cheerleaders coming out. Oh wait, are we still? Right now we see the cheerleaders coming out. Like we said, cheerleaders are here for the first time. We see them supporting. Really cool to see that addition this year.
Yeah, and as we got a 10-minute intermission, as I like to call it, before both teams come back out and bring us a really exciting second half. We're looking forward to it. It's 23-20. But for right now, let's take a look at the Big 12 last season and how it shaped out last season and what the Ironmen are going to look for to take that top spot. Last year, the Big 12 champions were Peoria Notre Dame, who were 10-0 in conference, 34-4 overall, and the 2A state champs. You want to take us through the rest of those standings, Bella?
Yeah. Last year, Normal Community actually won against Peoria for, I believe, the first time in 3 years. But that was also without their Iowa guard, Aaliyah Guyton, who got injured late in the season. We live streamed that game. That was a really big contest. You saw they have a smaller guard that's going to be returning this year, Danielle Ruffin. So I expect Peoria to be really good again this year. Peoria Notre Dame, of course, lost their senior and Big 12 Conference Player of the Year, Emmy Wordle. But Maya Wordle, her little sister, is coming back, and I believe she's going to be dominant again. Like, she was dominant in the state final. It's so, like, Peoria, Notre Dame, Peoria, they're both going to be good every year. I think it's hard to say this is Community's, like, year to break through and get that. There's going to be a lot of competition. You saw Bloomington was 5th. Normal West was 4 and 5. So we see there's a lot of local people in this Big 12 conference.
Hey, talk about Bloomington with that 6-4 record despite having such a young lineup, and 8 of those players have come back to this team and are playing on this team, playing very well. They've stayed very aggressive with aggressive guards. I think that's something that Bloomington needs to keep going on throughout the course of the season, as they were 6-4 in conference last year, and they've only really brought back nearly everybody. So I think the sky's the limit for this Raiders team, and they're putting themselves on the map here tonight, and the best place to do it, Intercity at the Shirk Center. Now let's talk a little bit about Intercity, go through how it was last year. We talked a little bit about that. We can go through last year and then this year, how it's shaped out so far, as Intercity started on Saturday, I believe, for the girls basketball. So I'll just look at last year here for a second. Like you said earlier, Community was dominant in Intercity last year. 4-0, they were the outright champions, obviously, after going 4-0, and it was their 3rd consecutive Intercity championship. And they beat Bloomington 49-19, and they beat U-High 58-16. They beat Central Catholic 53-41, which was the closest game. It was just a 12-point advantage. And they beat West by 42 with an average margin of victory, 32 points. How about you talk about how it's been this year?
Yeah, and like we already said, that West game showed us this gap is definitely narrowed. Community looking for their 4th consecutive Intercity championship. That might be a harder look this year. We've seen all of these teams super young last year. They've all gotten older. They've all returned players. So we're seeing these players get better. Community, Feeney said, we're not taking a step back. You know, we're just repivoting. So we'll see. Community's still got this effort. It's maybe not going to be as such of a cruise 32-point advantage every night. But I think Community is still looking for that outright championship.
Yeah, and I think 2 of the biggest opponents may have been in their 2 biggest games, as we'll see as the tournament shapes itself out. But you play West, the crosstown rivals, in that first game. And now, in the second game, you're taking on a Bloomington team that's already 1-0. They beat U-High by 21 points, so U-High might not be too much of a struggle, but obviously it's game by game, and that was their first game of the season, so we'll see how that pans out. And then you got Central Catholic, and Central Catholic will be the Friday game that we're doing the doubleheader on. Really excited for that one. And Central Catholic plays West tonight at 8 p.m. after this game. Make sure that if you're around the area to come on down to Illinois Wesleyan, the Shirk Center. Check that one out. Check this one out. Even if you're not here yet, you should come on down. It's 23-20 with after 1/2 of play. And we said Central Catholic hasn't played in Intercity yet, but what about their season opener?
Yeah, they played Lincoln. Lincoln, if you need a reminder, they were the 3A champs last year. They had an undefeated season. The year before was 36-1. They've had an insane 2-year run. Those stars, Chloe Froby most notably, she's actually playing at Colorado State, getting a lot of playing time. So those stars have graduated, but still Lincoln is a very strong program that knows what they're doing. To see BCC come out on top of that Lincoln game is really impressive.
Yeah, now I'm going to go through some very unofficial stats here. From what I picked up, Dedekian was the leading scorer for Bloomington in that first half with, did you have 9 points or 11 for her? I think I had 9, but she was dominant, sticking to that right side, sticking it right to the Ironman. Alongside her was Shuey, who was knocking down the 3-ball and staying like a big defensive presence for Bloomington. What did you have Dedekian at for that first half?
I have a lot of scribbles, to be honest.
That does look like a lot of scribbles.
But I kind of thought she had 9 points.
Let's go with 9.
Yeah.
I like 9. And from the Ironman, we've seen Kenna Malinowski knock down a couple of threes, and we've seen Raina Powers be both of them have been leaders on the defensive end. Kenna has had multiple steals. Raina might be up to 4 or 5 steals, definitely more deflections. So she is on fire from the defensive end, and that is always turning into offense, as these fast breaks has been where the Ironmen are getting the most points. And I think that's also somewhere where they really need to take advantage of in the second half. We're nearing the second half with just under 3 minutes until action picks back up here. How about we just talk about some of the things we want to see from both teams, some of the things we have seen, and I'll start us off. A key that I want to see from the Ironmen is Marco Reynolds. I just want to see her get the ball in the paint, whether it's her going and scoring a bucket or getting triple covered and kicking it out. I think where the Ironmen are going to see the most success offensively, because they're only on pace for 40 points right now, relatively low score. The way they're going to see the most points offensively, I believe, is by dumping that into Marco Reynolds. What do you think is going to be the key offensively for the Ironmen?
Yeah, I would love to see more Marco Reynolds. We haven't seen a lot of Camry Fisher scoring either. The game against West, she was the leading scorer. So we've seen that she has that ability to get in there and be a leader on this team when it matters the most. But yeah, exactly what you said about Marco. I think that impact is there no matter what. Like, getting the ball inside there, whether she scores or passes it off, will only benefit the team, especially when you need every single player contributing in a close game like this.
Yeah, and then when you look to Bloomington's side, you start thinking about, are they going to get tired? They have played a relatively tight lineup, only 7 or 8 players getting on the court. They only have 11 rostered, while Community is a completely different story, 18 rostered. We've already seen double-digit amount of players on the court here tonight, 10, 11, right around there, seeing lots of bodies and lots of different lineups for Community. I think they've kind of seen that first half as a test, right? See what Bloomington's going to throw at you, throw out a bunch of players, and we've seen not a lot of offensive success because 10 of these 20 points were scored in just a 2-minute time frame for the Ironmen. So besides that, there has been 14 minutes of Ironman basketball where they've only scored 10 points, and that's thanks to this Bloomington defense that is very rowdy and very physical.
Yeah, I like that point you made about the depth. Like last year, Community would win a lot of games just by outlasting their opponents, having so many players that they could go to in their roster. So we're kind of seeing that this year as well. I'm hoping to see some good stuff in this second half.
Yeah, I think we're going to be in for some good basketball in the second half. Here's Camry Fisher. That one's up, and right off the rim, she's going to hustle, try to get that rebound. Now she's trying to force a turnover. Bloomington's going to take it the other way, and they are going to go around the corner. Three ball from Bloomington there, no good. Offensive rebound from Embry, and that will be a foul on Marco Reynolds, picking up her second foul of the game, I believe.
For Marco Reynolds, her third.
That is actually her third foul of the game, so you start thinking, when should a substitute come in for Marco Reynolds, as in high school you only get 5 fouls until you foul out.
Yeah, and that would be huge if she was out of the game. That's their only sense of height, especially with Embry right here. Playing a lot of minutes and causing a lot of problems for the Ironmen.
And the second free throw's up and no good. The first one went down, though, to push it to a 2-possession game once again. 4-point Bloomington lead. Reina and Amia are controlling the tempo offensively. Ironmen slowing it down here to start the second half. They got it into Fisher. Fisher's looking to pass. She finds Malinowski in that corner three. That's going to be out of bounds. Looked like it might have bounced in for a second. Kind of reminded me of that Kawhi Leonard shot from 5 years ago. Bounce, 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 but that one will end up going out of bounds. Bloomington's forcing the tempo.
Oh, not paying attention there.
Yeah, Embry was not ready for the ball with her back turn. Now Raina Powers is going to try to take advantage of that, and it's just in and out. Malinowski did get the offensive board and got fouled there, and we have seen a couple offensive boards from Malinowski here tonight.
Yeah, we've seen her length. She's the second tallest player on the team this year. The other night she had 2 blocks. She had a ton of rebounds the other night as well. So we're seeing her kind of come into that position of being such a tall player on this team.
Yeah, and Malinowski's now up to 7 points on the contest after that free throw. Back to a 1-possession game. You said Malinowski is the second tallest on the team at 5'10". How many 6-footers did they have last season?
Last season, technically listed, there were 3 6-footers. You had 6'1", Allie Rustemeyer, who started, 6'1", Marco coming off the bench. So sometimes they would kind of have that Twin Towers kind of approach where they would both be in the game. You had Sydney Jansen, who got injured very early in the season. She's opted not to play this season due to rehabbing from another injury. But still, we see less height this season.
Yeah, and Haley Michaels checked back into the game as the Ironmen cut it down to 3, missing the second free throw. Here's the 3, no good from Bloomington. That one is blocked up and down, and it's going to be Ironman ball after that one seemed to bounce from a few players. Now, this is a really important possession for the Ironmen. Obviously, it's early in the third quarter, down by 3. This is where you show, are you going to push the tempo, or are you going to slow it down and wait to find your shot? Now Raina Powers has it up, gives it over to Michaels. Michaels is getting double teamed, gives it to Fisher. Now Fisher double teamed.
Malinowski going to the corner.
Malinowski going to her favorite spot, and no foul called. That's going to be out of bounds on the Ironmen. A 3-point deficit with 6 minutes left in the third quarter.
Yeah, I want to see some more quick passes from the Ironmen there. It's too much stagnant in one person's hands. When you're playing a zone like this, you need to pass the ball.
We're seeing lots of substitutions again in the second half. Cameron Fisher just went to the bench, and the Raiders are going to go right down the lane, straight to Armani Connor, but she's going to take that charge, the second charge from the Ironmen today. Great job from Connor there. We're seeing lots of hustle, and someone that didn't get a lot of minutes last season, now she's going to be seeing a lot of elevated minutes as one of the biggest players on this team, and someone that really has a lot of strength and is able to hustle time and time again.
Yeah, and her limited minutes last season, I remember one word I said about her is that she's a dog.
Yeah,
she gets on the floor. She's going to have that strength. We're seeing that in full action tonight.
Yeah, I love that. She's a dog. Now we got another steal forced by Shuey. We've seen a few of those tonight. Shuey's going to take that one right off the backboard, and that's going to be Ironman basketball. You know, the last 20 seconds, the last 24 seconds, the Ironman had the ball, Bloomington had the ball, the Ironman had the ball, and then Bloomington had the ball again. We've seen 3 possessions in 24 seconds. This is the time where you might want to slow it down and wait to find your shot, and that looks like exactly what the Ironmen are doing here with Haley Michaels walking it up the court. Now Haley Michaels fakes a pass, gives it into Ashlyn instead. Ashlyn is going to get swarmed in the paint. That's going to be a turnover. Shuey takes it the other way. This time the full court pass works. They're moving it around. Step back 3, thought about it. No good. We got another jump shot. That's up, but I believe a travel will be called on Ariana Buss. She just took an extra step when she stepped up to that line. I think she might have got tripped up by these multiple 3-point lines, something they might not be used to.
Yeah, Tatum Leokley coming into the game for the Iron, some more height.
Yeah, she's been a 4-year player for the Ironmen, as has all of these seniors on the team. Someone that saw limited minutes last year and will be a key bench presence. Here's the 3 from Malinowski, nearly bounces in, no good. Bloomington every single time pushes the pace after they get a rebound. That one's up, and what a finish from Dedekian. We are for sure that she's in double digits now with 11 points. Yokley didn't think about the 3. Now she's got a chance to think about it again. Instead, dumps it off to Connor. Connor's going to find Raina Powers. Raina Powers, quick pass to Michaels. Michaels, Malinowski, Yokley. Malinowski, talk about some ball movement here. Malinowski back to Yokley. The Ironman reset. That one's going to be thrown away, but Raina Powers steals it right back. How often do you see 2 steals in a second? Now Yokley's got it back. Ironman still looking for the best shot. And I love the patience here. Michaels into Connor. That's an open lane, and it's
wow.
good.
Patience is the word. Such a long possession, but it works out in the end.
Yeah, and that is exactly what a basketball coach, I'm sure Feeney's very happy about that play. That's exactly what a coach wants. Wait until you find that shot. Connor had an open lane, a great feed, and the finish, but the Ironmen back within a possession. That one is blocked. Might have been Malinowski or Yokley. They were both surrounding Ariana Buss. Raina Powers on the other way. Finds Mike Lee from 3.
Malinowski open in the corner.
Michael.
A little bit of miscommunication there.
Yeah, Michaels gave it over to Connor, and it seemed like Malinowski was actually crashing, even though she usually has stayed at that corner 3. That's been her spot tonight. Malinowski has 2 threes on the night, 7 attempted. Her confidence is never wavering. Marco Reynolds' confidence is never wavering either, as actually before this game she told me she was gonna dunk. So, you never know. You never know, it could happen. Marco Reynolds is 6'1" and quite the athlete. That's gonna be a 5-second violation on the Bloomington Raiders. Now we have hit the second half of the third period. That's a little confusing. I'll just say 4 minutes left in the third period here for the Ironmen at Shark Center. The Ironmen are trailing Bloomington 26-23 in the second Intercity
Malinowski
matchup.
going to the corner again. That is her go-to.
That's her go-to. We have Marco Reynolds check back into the game. She's going to square up. That's going to be a foul called on Madison Embry, who is visibly frustrated after that call. She believed it was all ball, and I might have to agree with her there. That might have looked clean.
Kind of looked like she swallowed her up there. But still, Marco Reynolds going to the line for an opportunity to add 2 more.
And here comes the first free throw from Reynolds. That one's up and swish right through the net for Reynolds. Beautiful form from the center. That's somebody that you will see her spot up for a couple threes this season. We've already seen her attempt 2. Second free throw, no good. But Kenna Malinowski with an absolutely amazing board. Now she gets to be rewarded as the three's just off the front iron. Right there from Malinowski. We see the hustle time and time again from her. What a board. Now the Raiders have taken it the other way. Every time the Ironmen get an offensive board, the Raiders seem to be able to deflect that and not lock them down.
Bit of a mismatch here. Marco Reynolds is being pushed to the outside. I think they're going to try to get her in the paint again right now.
Yeah, Reynolds is back in the paint, and what looked like might have been called a travel call ends up being a foul before the travel occurred from the Raiders. It's a 2-point lead for BHS with 3:13 left on the clock. What have you seen in this third quarter, Bella, and what do you want to see from the Ironmen?
We've seen a lot of energy from the Ironmen. I think we're in a good space to poke at that lead and get in there, but Bloomington is not letting up. You see.
And there was a layup, no good from Embry. The Ironmen here are gonna try to poke away at that lead. Amia thinks about the 3, gives it to Wilde. Yoakley, we got Camry Fisher open from 3, that's up. No good from the corner 3. Yoakley with an exceptional save. And I think we're gonna have a jump ball on this one. Bloomington will get the ball. I feel like we've been saying Bloomington gets the jump ball all game here tonight. All right, here goes the Raiders. They have been relentless all of tonight. Yoakley checks out, and we see Haley Michaels back in the game after just getting about a minute breather. She has been a big defensive presence in this ball game. And we have a foul called on the Ironmen as they were trying to force number 5, Dadakian, out of bounds. Dadakian was double teamed. She's the leading scorer for BHS. She has 11 points. So well-deserved double team from Dadakian. She's played great tonight and will be one of the leaders for the Raiders. We have a timeout called with 2:49 left in the third quarter. Bloomington is up 26-24. Bloomington calls that timeout there. They're left with 3 in the half, and the Ironmen have still not used a timeout with 4 left in the half. I think it's a really strategic choice to not use these timeouts. As you know, this game is going to go down to the wire, and it won't be ended. It won't be over until that buzzer sounds. Community's saving their timeouts for when it really matters.
Yeah, and we talk about strategy. One of the things Feeney said this year, a difference from last year's basically core of the team, their press. Every single play was a press. This year, Feeney said he's going away from that. We've seen it happen a few times tonight, but the game against West, Community got beat on that press a lot of times. So it's kind of hard for Community to keep up with the teams this year with not as much length. But still, we're seeing effort in different ways to get at that ball and stop Bloomington.
You know, they might not have as much length, but they do have as much, if not more, speed this season. Wilde brings another speed to the program, and we've seen a solid defensive presence from her tonight. forcing some turnovers and just some deflections, not really letting whoever she's guarding be able to score. She's been guarding Skeet for a lot of the game. We haven't seen Skeet do too much. Turnover almost forced there from the Ironmen. Bloomington does end up with possession. We have a three, thought about it, decide not to go for it. Skeet has Wilde on her. Skeet gives it in to the big. The big finds an open three. The three's up and no good from Dedekian. That'll be Ironman basketball. Great box out from Wilde.
Ironman with the opportunity to tie the game on this possession.
And not only tie, but they could take the lead as they're down by 2, and we know they love to shoot their 3 balls. Malinowski is not in the game right now. Marco Reynolds with a no-look pass to Fisher. That was an excellent pass. Michaels is going to go one more to Wilde.
Ready to shoot.
Oh, right off the back iron. That one nearly fell, and that was a college three-pointer there. She went from behind the green line here in Shirk Center.
Yeah, that's one thing that's interesting here about Shirk Center. You see a lot of people kind of getting a little confused about the 2 lines. It kind of throws off some of the three-pointers here.
Yeah, and the boys have been playing at the Shirk Center for quite some time. The girls, this is new this season, so definitely an adjustment. And Wilde didn't seem to hesitate with that one, though. It was deep, but she just took that with full confidence, almost fell down, and you just got to keep shooting if you're the Ironmen. All right, Bloomington's going to try to break the press here, and they do break through. Skeet with the ball, gives it off to Shuey. Shuey's going to take her time here, wait for the best selection. Shuey's getting pressed very hard by Michaels, ends up getting it off to Dedekian. Dedekian reverts the screen. It's a lot of ball movement from the Raiders here, and that one is no good from Shuey. But the Raiders will get the ball back, getting rewarded for their ball movement on that possession. Dedekian will be inbounding the ball for the Purple Raiders. Dedekian hits it over to Embry. Marco Reynolds has moved up on her since Embry hit that 3 in the first half. Embry nearly loses it out of bounds. Raina Powers
is ready to go there.
Now it's a 5-on-4, but Raina Powers is right back on defense, back to a 5-on-5. We got Shuey with the ball. She's been controlling the tempo for the Raiders. Raider 3 up and no good from Dedekian. And the ball stripped from Marco Reynolds. Jump ball, and the Ironmen will have the possession there. We've seen 6 jump balls here tonight.
Yeah, Bloomington is not afraid to get their hands in there, but it seems like it's been landing on the ball and giving them lots of opportunities for another chance.
It's where you start thinking about that 10-second violation. They get the ball past the half court. Raina Powers gives it over to Michaels. Michaels with an overhead pass to Wilde. Thought about the 3. He's going to get that in. It goes into Marco Reynolds. Marco Reynolds turnaround. No good there. That's blocked by Embry, and it will be Raider basketball. Malinowski's checking in, and she will be checking in for Amia. Now, the Ironmen are going to a lot more size here. Armani Connor is in the game, checking in for Marco Reynolds after that black shot. Marco Reynolds the body language seems to be going down a little bit. We got to see that body language go up. Next shot, she's got this. All right, the Raiders take it. It's a fast break for the Raiders. Wilde's all over it. It's a fast break for the Ironmen. Wilde's got nothing but the Raina basket right off the rim, and Raina Powers gets the rebound and gets fouled. It seemed like it was nothing but the lane and basket for Wilde, but then all of a sudden, Bloomington was right there with Dedekian looking for a chase down block.
Yeah, like that block we saw last night in the West game.
Oh, wow. Don't get me started on that block. That was insane. Malik Given-Smith had for a little reference, Owen Osborne had a fast break and he went up for the layup. Malik Given-Smith came out of nowhere and glassed it. It was a great play from the West Wildcat. And there's the free throw up and good from Raina Powers. We talked about how free throws were going to be a key for Powers this season, something she'd really need to work on. She's 4 for 5 from the charity stripe tonight.
Yeah, and you'll see her at the line a lot as she gets contact.
And there it is again, 5 for 6. She's shooting 83% from the line. Malinowski checks out for Camry Fisher. We're seeing a whole lot more substitutions for the Ironmen than we are from the Raiders. Start to wonder if the Raiders are going to start wearing out here. We got a breakthrough. Shuey's taking it down, but Michaels is all over Shuey. Shuey with nowhere to go. Some great defense from Michaels, and the Raiders pass it along. We got a 3 shot from the big. Embry, that's off the backboard. The Ironmen get the ball. It's a tie ball game. 26-26 with now 26 seconds to go. Wilde's got Michaels in the corner. Michaels kicks it off to Wilde. Wilde thinks about it, and now they're getting it into Connor. Connor sees a Fisher from 3. Fisher to Powers to Wilde. Michaels from 3, that's up. Right off the iron. It gets tipped to Powers, and Powers puts that up with 10 seconds to go. The Ironmen take the lead back, 28-26. The clock's down to 5, 4, 3, 2. Raiders with nowhere to go. The Ironmen are all over it, and they are ecstatic on the bench here, seeing lots of emotion from the crowd in Shark Center. What a sequence of events for the Ironmen.
Wow, the Iron take their first lead in a long time. Did they have the lead at the beginning of the game?
They had the lead at the beginning of the game and one other time. This is just their third lead of the game.
Wow. But going into this final quarter with that advantage, I think that's going to make a difference and give the Ironmen something to look forward to as the game starts to go.
And we have the annual cheerleading handstand contest. We see this throughout all of Intercity, something that Bloomington is very good at. And my teacher, Mr. Ross, I have a class with cheerleader Katie Price, and he pointed out that yesterday she went down in like a second, but she's doing it for her friend. She was doing it to cheer on her friend, and it looks like she is not on the court tonight, so that might have been irrelevant. But you'll see her on Wednesday.
Community won it last time, and it looks like they just won it again.
That is the McKenna Phillips who won it last night as well. Little cheerleader statistics for you here tonight.
Yeah.
We got everything on the Inkspot. We got basketball statistics, even cheerleading statistics. Well, that's the only one we got, but good enough. All right, back to the game. It is 28-26 Ironmen, and we are entering the fourth quarter where everything really goes down. We're seeing the same lineup from the Raiders that we've seen before. Actually, correction, looks like Leonard is back in the game. We haven't seen a lot from Leonard here tonight. That was someone I thought we were going to see a lot of, as she was the leader in minutes per game last season, second in points, and first in steals.
Yeah, interesting to see that. Now that I think about it, like, we haven't seen her a lot, especially with how big of an impact she had last season.
Yeah, Shui and Dedekian have really been taking over for the Raiders offensively and defensively, having a huge presence for Bloomington. And talk about a huge presence defensively. There's Raina Powers. She's got the takeaway, and that one's right off the iron, but Haley Michaels is there to put it back up. No good. The Raiders are going to take it the other way. We're seeing lots of fast breaks
Leonard.
here. Leonard right off the iron as you hear the pounding footsteps of Raina Powers trailing her. Now the Iron are going to take it the other way. Might think about slowing it down a little bit here. Haley Michaels nearly traveled there, but gets the movement. And that one's going to be overthrown from Michaels, and the ball will go back to Raiders. It's been a hectic 36 seconds.
Yeah, Raiders are just getting all over Community right now.
Yeah, defensively and offensively staying really aggressive, and we see great sportsmanship on the sidelines for the Ironmen. Hugs and high fives, that's their big thing. Now the Raiders offensively, yeah, it's going to be a foul on Armani Connor as Lauren Shuey just kind of ran into a wall there. Nowhere to go, but a foul is called on Connor. That is just the first foul of the quarter from either team, as we are just 43 seconds in to the final quarter of the game. All right, we haven't talked about this, but what do you want to see from the Ironmen in the final quarter?
I'm looking for, just like we've seen so much good things come from ball movement, and we've seen the patience pay off. I just want to see us get into that and not just like try to speed it up when we have that bit of momentum. Just keep what works.
Yeah, I really like that. Shuey knocks down the first free throw. Lots of clapping as Armani Connor goes to the bench. She has been a huge presence defensively. Marco Reynolds is back in the ball game. Here is the second free throw from Lauren Shuey. That is up and good. We have a tie game here at the Shark Center. 28-28, a little over 7 minutes to go. Amia is using her sheer speed.
Blazing down the court.
That one's going to be turned over, and Bloomington, who is known for forcing turnovers, has done it all night here tonight.
Community going back to man.
And Raiders look to pick apart that man defense. That one's just off the back iron for Embry. And Raina Powers has some speed. She's putting on the Jets here. gives it to Fisher. Fisher's
in
got
the
an
corner.
open three. That one's going to be no good. As, again, I say open, and then Dedekian kind of comes out of nowhere and puts up a contest, as she's done a lot throughout this matchup. She has obviously been the leading scorer offensively for the Raiders, possibly the most impactful on defense as well.
Yeah, all of the Raiders have done a great job at making sure that the Ironmen are never truly open.
Yeah, and I talked about defensive presences. Embry has been huge as well. She's really shut down Marco Reynolds in this game,
Yes,
who had a very dominant first game.
that size has proven very useful for Bloomington.
Nice find from Marco Reynolds. She's got Amia. Amia with the floater. That was beautiful right off the backboard. Nice floater from there from Amia Lester.
Yeah, with Lester's speed, I just love seeing her get down there, getting those floaters.
And we see Bloomington the other way. That's going to be a foul on Marco Reynolds. And Shui loves to get to the free throw line. We've seen it time and time again here tonight. Last season, Shui did get to the free throw line 95 times, which was second on the team for free throw attempts. She knocked down 74, which is first. She shoots 78% from the free throw line, a great charity stripe shooter, and that one is good. Taking the lead down to 1. This game is incredibly back and forth, Bella.
With that foul, Marco, that's her 4th foul. Armani Connor has to come in the game. I assume they're going to have to keep Marco out until the final minutes.
Yeah, you start thinking 2-3 minute mark when you want to put her back in. We saw in last night's boys game, Malik Given-Smith fouled out for the Wildcats. That's a rare miss there from Shui, as Community's going to take it the other way. Raina Powers, with so much speed, finds an open Fisher, gets it over to Lester. Lester's thinking about it, gives it back to Powers at the top of the key. Powers is slowing it down to Lester. Community's got a 1-point lead, 6 minutes left in the game. Lester to Connor, Connor to Fisher. Fisher spins back to Lester. Lester's going to drive again and draw the foul. We're seeing Lester be very confident and just drive in the lane. I love to see it. Did Lester drive a lot last season, or is this something she's kind of added to her bag?
Last season, she did drive, but it was kind of hard for her in the traffic. Hard for her to convert those shots, but seeing her get that contact and still be able to make something out of those drives, because she is extremely quick. She can get in there. So seeing her utilize that is really great.
Yes, she is extremely quick. Second free throw good. That's a 2-point lead for the Ironmen. Now Bloomington with the ball, and we see it back to Dedekian, someone who's had the ball a lot of tonight's contest. Dedekian's going to drive, kicks it back to Shui. We've said Dedekian and Shui all night long. Nice presence from Mia on the defensive end. Raina Powers
steals the ball.
Take that one away.
Malinowski.
Powers to Malinowski. And it's a foul there on number 4, the senior, Emily May. Malinowski definitely has a couple inches on her there, so the foul was maybe a smart foul, as I like to call it, there from May.
Yeah, but these last few possessions, drawing fouls, getting those easy points on the free throw line.
Ever since the early second quarter lead for the Raiders, they led 17-7. Since then, the Ironmen have gone up 31-29, outscoring the Raiders. Now 32-29, outscoring the Raiders 25-12 since that second half lead. And tonight on the board we have Audra Wolf, and on camera, Maddie Lane, fellow Inkspotters. Now Bloomington with a spot up 3. That one's going to be no good from Dedekian. Dedekian loves to shoot the 3 ball.
Foul will be called on Connor.
That is Connor's second foul of the game, which is a relief to Ironman fans, as Marco Reynolds is up to 4. Connor's going to be someone that's going to need to play a lot of minutes. Malinowski tipped that one, and the refs are going to talk it over. Looks like they're leaning towards Raiders ball here. little discussion, and that's going to be Raiders basketball. Nice tip from Malinowski. She believed that should have been community basketball, but she's right back on the defensive end in the defensive position, ready to go. Now the Raiders kick it into double coverage. Number 4 is going to cut the lane, and that's going to be tipped out of bounds. Ironman ball again. Risky pass there from Emily May.
Another chance to set up their offense and get a score, get a chance to tie the game.
There's Lennard. We haven't seen a lot from her, and that one's just right off the rim. The community's going to take it the other way.
Powers full speed ahead.
That's going to be a foul on Bloomington, and you said full speed ahead, described it perfectly. Another thing that she can really do is change up her tempo. She had a nice crossover, slowing down a little bit, and then exploding back to the rim, drawing that foul. That is excellent basketball, and she's just showing off her athleticism. Now Powers is 5 for 6 from the line here tonight. Here is the 7th and 8th attempts from Powers. That one right off the back iron, 5 for 7. Still a pretty good split, definitely for high school basketball. Community is up by 3, 1 possession. This would force it to 2, and it will. It's a 2-possession ball game here with Community leading the Bloomington Raiders 33-29, just under 5 minutes left in the contest. Bloomington, lots of ball movement here. Malinowski tips it. Amia's got it. We see another fast break. Amia's going to slow it down.
Malinowski going to that corner.
The three's good. Cash from Malinowski, as Bella said. What a shot. 36-29 Ironman. Biggest lead of the game for Community.
Yeah, Malinowski's been going to that corner all game. You know she's bound to hit a few of them. A prolific scorer last year, kind of like Gianna Rawlings. Gonna shoot a lot. She's gonna make a lot.
Yeah, she is. And that is her 3rd three-pointer of the night, I believe. She's up to double digits for the Ironmen. I believe Raina Powers is also up to double digits as well. They have been big offensive leaders and defensive leaders for Community here tonight. Now, we talk about 7 being the biggest lead for the Ironmen. We know this game has gone in shifts. We've seen Bloomington go on a 6-0 run in just about a span of a minute. We've seen the Ironmen go on a 10-0 run in the span of 2 minutes. Bloomington had a 10-point lead earlier. We know they're capable of doing it. There is a lot of time on the clock, so I think a very smart timeout from Bloomington. Talk it over. What do you think they need to change to see more success offensively?
Yeah, I think Bloomington is getting stopped. Like, there's so many turnovers right now. The community's putting so much pressure. I think Bloomington needs to find a way around that. Slow the pace down, not get the ball in these situations where it's going back and forth.
Yeah, slow the pace down is a great way to describe what Bloomington needs to do. I think another thing they need to do is some more ball movement. At the start of the game, we saw a lot of ball movement from this team, but as I've said, we've been saying a lot of Shui and Dedekian. They are great athletes, but you got to get everybody on the court infiltrated here. Now we have number 11, Skeet. Skeet gives it to Shui. Dedekian with the ball. Dedekian thought about passing that one over to number 2, Christina Lennard. Back to Skeet. Now we're seeing him slow it down with some ball movement, just like we talked about. There's a cut into Dakian. And Raina Powers with yet another steal. She's got so much speed, taking it the other way. That will be a foul on the floor. Shot does not count for the Ironmen, but Bloomington's up to 4 fouls. One more foul, the Ironmen go to the line every time.
Yeah, you see Powers on the outside in the perimeter there. It's just like nobody can get past her. Her arms are always in reach of the ball.
I can't wait to get the box score back for this one to see how many steals Raina Powers had tonight. I think she's nearing double digits. She has had an incredible amount of steals. There's Malinowski from 3, right off the front iron. And Connor making sure to not get an over and back foul there. Bloomington Raiders taking it the other way. There's Dedekian, and that one's just going to be thrown out of bounds.
Pass.
Just a simple start of the season mistake there from the Raiders, but one very costly with under 4 minutes in the contest.
A lot of pressure from the Ironman defense, really throwing the Bloomington offense off.
Now, Bloomington has to be careful on defense here. They have 4 fouls. One more foul is going to send the Ironmen to the free throw line, but but you also got to stop them here, down 7. And the Ironmen are slowing it down. Very smart tactic when you're up by 7 in the closing minutes of a ball game. And Mia's got the ball up top. Lester's going to get that one deflected by Josie Skeet. It's going to remain Iron basketball. You see Powers on the inbounds, giving that one back to Lester. And the Ironmen are really slowing it down. You start to wonder, do the Raiders purposefully foul in minutes to come? Powers back to Lester. Lester to Fisher. Fisher to Malinowski at the corner 3, her favorite spot. Malinowski gives that one back to Fisher. Back to Powers up top. And the Ironmen are just playing keep away here with the Raiders. Fisher's going to give that one to Lester. Great patience from the Ironmen. As a coach, this is exactly what you want to see. Lester remains with the ball even though it got tipped around by multiple players. She believes she doesn't have a dribble, so she's giving it off to Powers. And that's going to be a timeout by the Ironmen after a nearly a minute-long possession.
Yeah, you see, that lineup out there was all seniors. So you're seeing that experience of who Feeney trusts to have these slow possessions where they can really take the time to take that time off the clock and make this game more solidified for them.
And that's something that's going to be so beneficial to the Iron this season, is having all these seniors. We talk about a team that is completely seniors and juniors, just 2 more juniors than seniors, but all of these players are returning players that have all played on the freshman squad, JV, and now varsity. So they've been through this system, and right there just infiltrating Ironman basketball, staying patient, and nice cuts to get open. Lots of V cutting I saw there, and they were able to just hold on to that ball for a minute. And as we talked about earlier, around the 2 or 3 minute mark, who are we going to see? Marco Reynolds. She's back on the court for the Ironmen. With 2:36 to go, the score 36-29 Ironmen. Lester's got the ball up top once again. Shuey is pressuring her. Great defense from Shuey. Fast hands, looking to go for the steal. She's all over Lester, and the foul is going to be called there. Lester will go to the line. That is the 5th Bloomington foul this quarter. Now we're going to see the Ironmen go to the line a lot. And we saw the Ironmen go to the line a lot last night in the boys' game, and a lot of those didn't fall. Hopefully more of these fall as the crowd is getting bigger, anticipating the next matchup. These are big free throws. And Lester knocks it down, unfazed with the big stakes. We got a substitution. Haley Michaels is in for Camry Fisher. Haley Michaels has been excellent defensively tonight, which I think was in part of the reason she just subbed in here. Now here comes the second free throw from Lester. That one's good. It's a 9-point lead for the Ironmen, their biggest lead of the night. Nearing the 2-minute mark, Shuey is bringing it up. Shuey gives it to the big, Embry. Embry with it up at the key. Marco Reynolds not letting her take that 3 ball. Back to Dedekian. Dedekian gets it over to Shuey. You got to start wondering
Reynolds
when
not
urgency. And
the ball doesn't get
Ironman
to the paint
turnover.
thanks to Marco Reynolds' length down there.
And Kenna Malinowski poked that one away, and the Ironmen are going to slow it down, but a foul there from Shuey, and this is the part of the game where the Ironmen will be getting fouled nearly every possession until if Bloomington can make this a little bit closer. And let's just take a second and talk about the defense in this game. It's 38-29, and Bloomington has only scored, as the free throw knocked down there, a 10-point lead. Bloomington has only scored 12 points since the middle of the second quarter. What did the Ironmen change defensively?
It's just been swarming. I mean, they're really focusing on the perimeter as well. We saw that right there. Marco Reynolds not letting the ball get in the paint. So when you keep it on the perimeter and get all your players who can steal the ball, like Raina Powers, who almost has double-digit steals, that's going to make a difference.
And that's going to be a foul on the Ironmen. They're 4th, so you start one. And the next foul, the Raiders will all be going to the free throw line. It is an 11-point lead for the Ironmen, the biggest lead in general for the game. Previously, it was a 10-point Raider lead. Dedekian's going to of a deep pass there to Embry at the key. Embry to Shuey. They got to start playing with some urgency here to get a bucket. And number 2 attacks the rack, and that is Leonard. And a timeout from Bloomington. They've cut it back down to single digits with a tough finish from Leonard over 2 Ironmen. All right, there is 1 minute and 29 seconds left. A 40-31 community lead. This has been quite a game. The score might not reflect it at the moment with a 9-point lead, but this has been incredibly back and forth, Bella.
Yes. As we see it, I expect Bloomington to keep on fighting every possession they get. I assume they're going to keep trying to foul Community to try to get more possessions and cut to that lead quicker. But Community's not going to make that easy. We have people who can shoot at the free throw, people that have been in situations with our seniors that know what it takes to win these games.
You know, in these situations, these are really tough situations for teams like Bloomington having to play the foul game. But I think Bloomington really benefits from this because this is kind of how their defense is. They attack, they're physical, and they go for lots of steals, which is exactly what you need to do right now. And this is what they already do as a program. So despite the 9-point deficit, it's a really good position for Bloomington to have to just try to force these steals and the fouls. Now there's a 10-second.
Aggressive in the backcourt. Marco's just open down there.
Nice finish from Marco Reynolds. That is an 11-point lead and good find from Haley Michaels. The Raiders are taking it back. And once again, Dedekian's got the ball. She's going to drive the lane. Great pressure from Amia and Reina. Amia is limping at the moment. Reina's got the ball, and she's going to use her speed to just get past the Raiders. Gives it to Amia. Amia back to Powers, and the Ironmen are slowing it down. It looks like Bloomington is going to shy away from the foul attack as the Ironmen are up by 11 points in the final seconds of the ball game, and the Ironmen will continue their streak of dominance against Bloomington. The last time that Bloomington has won a game against the Iron is 2012, and they sure did give them a run for their money here tonight.
Yes, for sure. Such a close game. Bloomington put up such a great effort, but it seems like the Ironmen are going to put it away tonight.
Yeah, but you know, Bloomington won't go away until the buzzer sounds. That's just the kind of team they're going to be, and somebody that Community will face again this year in Big 12 conference play. Nice free throw there from Michaels. She is money from the free throw line. And Bloomington's going to be another matchup that we're going to have to keep our eyes on. That's going to be a huge one. Do you know if the Inkspot's going to be covering that one? Obviously with like pre-games, but are we going to be streaming the next game against Bloomington?
Yeah, I think it's more of a we'll see kind of thing. The Big 12 conference could wind up being pretty close for Community. So if it ends up a situation where Bloomington is competing for that title as well, that might be a good game to go to. But I expect Bloomington, right now, this is just their second game of the season. They have a lot of youth. I assume later in the season they'll have a lot more things figured out. So I think that could be a really good matchup still.
Yeah, the Raiders have lots of youth, like you said. 2 sophomores, 6 juniors, 3 seniors. So it's a young team. Obviously lots of returners, but still lots of inexperience for the Raiders. Drawing the foul there. They never back down. That's number 2, Christina Leonard, someone that I wanted to see more of tonight. It didn't really have the ball and wasn't in for a lot of the game.
Yeah, we've seen her kind of have a lot of opportunities in this final quarter, but before that, wasn't much. And for the Ironmen, Emma Harrison's getting her first minutes of the season tonight. She's a senior, played a little bit last year.
She's a big presence on the bench for the Ironmen.
Yes.
Kind of the spokesperson, if you will.
Yeah, very loud. Always going to be cheering on the bench. Always going to be cheering on her teammates as well.
Yeah, we always hear her in math class, don't we?
Yes.
That's a fun class. That's an interesting class. What'd you get on that last test, Bella?
100%.
All right, back to the game. I don't want to talk about this. 43-33 Ironmen. We have a double-digit lead with just 19 seconds left in the game. And this is what we were talking about. Bloomington does not go away because a timeout is called by the coach there, and that's what you love to see. yes, you're most likely not going to end up with this game, but every single second is an opportunity to get better at basketball, and that's what he's taking right now. He's trying to make his team better at basketball. He knows there will be instances like this where it's a 2-point game, where it's a 1-point game, it's a tie ball game, and they're going to need to get a stop, and that's what he's doing right now. He's getting his team ready for the season. Love to see that from a coach.
Yeah, and that's what Intercity is, just a practice for what's going to come in the season. You want to have all these situations get solved as quick as possible, get this experience, especially for such a young team.
And the athletes have made their way back on the field. I've been talking about football too much. It is basketball season. It is the second game of Intercity. The athletes are back on the court. There we go. And Tatum Yoakley is inbounding the ball. She's got it in the head. Oh, that's going to be a turnover as Bloomington's going to throw that one off the backboard. Turnover there from number 2 on Ironman. Ashland's got the ball and draws the foul with just 6 seconds to go. And Bloomington never goes away. So as we're wrapping up this game, let's talk about Inkspot coverage this week. What is coming for the Inkspot on Friday? I know I'm excited about it.
Yeah, we'll see if I'm there.
Oh, yeah, you're not going to be there, Bella.
We don't know if I'll be. I probably won't be there.
Good.
But we'll have a lot of new voices. We have a huge class of Journalism 1 students who are helping us tonight. Audra Wolf and
Maddie Lane on the camera.
Yeah,
we have some Journalism 1 spectators as well that will be announcing at some point. Maybe. And that shot is no good, and that will be the ball game. It is 44-33, Community on top with the double-digit victory here at the Shirk Center. Bella, give me some takeaways from tonight's game and what you want to see from the Ironmen on Friday nights.
Well, I'll say this season has been a lot of close games, not something we're used to seeing last year. So for a team like Central Catholic, who gave us our toughest matchup last year, gotta think, the gap has narrowed. The gap between these games have narrowed by, almost 20 points. Only a 12-point lead last year for Central Catholic. You have to assume that one's going to be very close. But seeing Community get this experience now, not to get thrown off by what Central Catholic could bring, getting this experience, knowing different tests. Like we said, Bloomington's very physical. West was very quick and very lengthy and just very well-balanced kind of team. So they've had different experiences to kind of get a hand of what's happening in this season and what they're going to do. Feeney said Intercity's not just just for the tournament. It's he's getting ready for 4A playoff action. All this stuff matters in the long term of the season. So we'll see. Each game matters. We'll see what happens on Friday night.
Yeah, and the scoreboard the scoreboard tells half the story here tonight. If you see the 44-33 score, that doesn't necessarily mean it was a close game, but it was a heck of a game. Very close. The Ironmen were able to pull away in that fourth quarter. It was just a one-possession game coming into the fourth quarter, and the Ironmen just kept going with what they've been going all game, driving the paint, getting fouls, and they knocked down their free throws. Great free throw shooting tonight and forced so many turnovers from Bloomington in that last quarter. I am loving the defense from the Ironmen here tonight, and well, it's been a pleasure announcing with you the last 2 days. I look forward to the rest of the season. You want to close us out?
Yes. Thank you for watching the NCHS Inkspot. We'll be live streaming back on Friday, so tune in there. 6:30 is it, or 5?
5, I believe.
5 is tip-off.
Check the Inkspot website for that. That'll be a double.